Wake up, lock in, move forward. This is Men's Morning Motivation. Let's get to it.
And welcome back, guys. This is Men's Morning Motivation. This is episode 23. Discipline is DNA, how repetition builds unbreakable men. Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday. But for us, this is not just the halfway point of the week. This is the reinforcement phase. This is the moment when the things you've committed to on Monday either start to stack or they start to slip. And here at Men's Morning Motivation, we don't let our priorities slip. We reinforce, we refocus, and we repeat with purpose. Here's the thing, guys. We don't become disciplined by chance. We don't stumble into structure. We simply build it. Repetition is the chisel, and discipline is the shape. Every single time you get up when you don't want to, show up when no one's watching, and do the reps you promised yourself, you're forging your identity. Discipline becomes DNA when the reps become your non negotiable. Not because they're easy, but because they're who you are now. And if you're still choosing to do it only when you feel like it, you're still in the shallow end. Here, we go deeper. The masters of discipline don't negotiate with themselves. They've moved beyond the internal debate. There's no more should I or shouldn't I, there's only execution. Every rep, every early morning, and every clean meal, it's all documented in your physical presence, your mental clarity, and your emotional stability. That scoreboard does not lie. Think of every disciplined action as an echo that bounces back and gets stronger each time. The first time you meal prep, it's effort. By the third time, it's habit. And by the 15th time, it's in your system. You're no longer trying to be consistent, you are consistent. You don't just set standards, you reverberate them. This is what separates men from dabble from men who dominate. The ability to echo excellence on repeat. Here's what happens psychologically. Every disciplined action fires neural pathways that become increasingly efficient. Your brain literally rewires itself to make the disciplined choice the default choice. The greats understand this. They know that discipline isn't about white knuckling through discomfort, it's about creating a new normal when the right choice becomes the easy choice. When you're in the gym at 5 a.m., it's not because you're fighting yourself to be there. You've conditioned your internal ecosystem to crave the very thing that builds you. Most men never reach this stage because they quit before the echoes become automatic. They mistake temporary discomfort for permanent incompatibility. The reality check, the path to discipline is paved with moments of resistance. Embrace them. They're the price of admission to a life most men only dream of. We have a saying around men's morning motivation: Wednesday is the crucible. It's that fire that burns away all the impurities. Here's the thing though, most men start to relax by Wednesday. They say, I've earned a breather. But here's the truth: Wednesday reveals who's serious. That's why it is the crucible of the week. This is where the momentum is either sustained or surrendered. So what do? You plant both feet and say, I don't coast, I reinforce. You train even harder. You hydrate even more. And you lock in even tighter. Because you're not just trying to survive the week, you're becoming the kind of man who thrives every damn day. The average man's week follows a predictable arc. Monday, ambition. Wednesday, wavering. Friday, collapse. This cycle keeps mediocrity firmly in place. Elite performers understand that consistency isn't about maintaining the same level of effort, it's about strategic intensification at key moments. Wednesday is that moment. When others see Wednesday as the downhill slide towards the weekend, you see it as an opportunity to create separation. This is where you double down on your morning routine. This is where you add 5 more minutes to your meditation. And this is where you make the call that you've been putting off. The midweek principle: what you do when energy naturally decreases determines your ceiling. Anyone can go hard on Monday. Kings go even harder on Wednesday. You are training your nervous system to perform regardless of circumstance. And this is how you build an unshakable foundation. You want to know how winners automate greatness? They don't hope discipline sticks, they code it into their lifestyle. They wake up at the same time, they flood their system with water immediately. On the first hour, there's no scrolling, simply action and planning. Meals, training, reflection, creative output, it's all coded, scheduled, and locked in. Why? Because you only have so much willpower. Great men use discipline to build systems that no longer rely on that. Because by Friday, you're not crawling towards freedom, you're gliding on systems that you built Monday through Wednesday. That's considered long term dominance. Consider the science. Decision fatigue is real. Every choice you make depletes your mental resources. This is why world class performers eliminate unnecessary decisions. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit daily. Warren Buffett and myself eat virtually the same breakfast every morning. They understand that automating the mundane frees up cognitive bandwidth for what truly matters. Your pre programmed routines aren't limitations, they're liberation. When your nutrition, training, sleep, and priorities operate on autopilot, you start to conserve that mental energy for your creative problem solving and strategic thinking. We establish some system stacking. This is where we build one automatic habit and lay another one on top. If we start with our morning routine, then we systemize your nutrition. Each automated domain creates space for the next. The ultimate goal isn't rigid roboticism, it's effortless execution. When your disciplines run like background software, your conscious mind is free to innovate, connect, and conquer. With it being Wednesday, we have our midweek audit challenge. We're going to do this before sundown today or after work because, like myself, some of us have weird work schedules. So, we're going to revisit our goals that we set up on Monday. We're going to list 3 wins that we've stacked. Large, small, somewhere in between. A win is a win. If you're establishing a habit, like if you don't eat breakfast, have you been doing that every day? We're going to list 3 misses. Did you skip a day? As long as we don't skip more than 2 consecutively, you're still winning. You can still get back on track. There isn't any judgment here. This is just simple ownership. And now we're going to write 1 non negotiable action we're taking today to course correct. Remember, guys, small hinges swing big doors. 1 midweek shift can change the next 3 months of momentum. We're not going to miss that shot. This here isn't just about accountability, it's strategic recalibration. Most men drift off course not because they lack intention, but because they lack observation and intervention. They wait until the end of the month to evaluate what went wrong when course corrections should be happening in real time. This audit isn't about beating yourself up, it's about honest assessment without emotion clouding your judgment. Champions inspect what they expect. Your single course correction action should be specific, measurable, and executable within 24 hours. Some examples would be, so we're going to prepare tomorrow's meals tonight. We're blocking all social media and mindless scrolling until all of our non negotiables and our key tasks are completed. If we're focusing on working out, we're going to add a second, much shorter training session to recover any lost ground throughout the week. And we're making 3 outreach phone calls that we've been postponing. whether that's friends, family, your boss, 3 phone calls that you know that you need to make that you've simply been putting off. Here's the thing, because calibration creates champions. The most successful men in history were not perfect, not by any means, but they were perpetually self correcting. We minimize the gap between deviation and direction. This midweek audit becomes a ritual that prevents those small slips from becoming landslides. If we master this, then we'll never be more than a day away from your most optimal path. So let's talk about something that rarely gets discussed: discipline's exponential returns. Most men and myself used to see consistency as linear. If we put in X, we get Y. But there is a secret that the top percent of people understand. When discipline is in your DNA, those returns become exponential. It kind of works like this. So we have that first month of consistent training. There's about a 10% improvement. After about 6 months, it should be 60%, but it's not. It's closer to almost 200%. And after 18 months of being disciplined and structured, those gains multiply far beyond any sort of recognition. Because whenever these systems stack and your habits sync, your neural pathways strengthen and they start to intertwine. Your morning routine enhances your nutrition. It's no longer about just eating breakfast, it's about figuring out what fuels your body best. And whenever we start to eat right, our nutrition powers our training. And that in itself, the training improves your sleep, and your sleep sharpens your focus. And compounded over again and again and again, your focus elevates your decision making. This here isn't just about improvement, this is about compounding excellence. There's a cause and effect, and we're rolling this boulder down the hill, and it just builds and builds and builds on itself. Because the average man never even gets to experience this, because he resets this every few weeks, if not every single Monday. He thinks we're starting from scratch, but we're not. And meanwhile, us here at Men's Morning Motivation, if we put everything into practice, these disciplined men are building on yesterday's and last week's and last month's foundation. We're not starting over, ever. We're always advancing, even if that is on our worst days. And this is the secret to this unstoppable momentum of this boulder rolling down the hill. The disciplined man does not just grow. We grow at an accelerating rate. So here's the thing, you have to honestly ask yourself, are we starting over every single Monday? Are you starting over every Monday? Or are we building an empire brick by brick by brick? Because in the economy of excellence, consistency isn't just rewarded, guys, it's multiplied tenfold, 100-fold, consistently over time. Most men fail not because of ability, but simply because of inconsistency. We allow exceptions to become the rule. We permit just this once, and it simply hijacks our progress. But elite performers understand that exceptions are the first domino in the complete collapse of their standards. And this is why we have to establish our non negotiables. These are the sacred boundaries that remain regardless of our circumstances. Everyone's non negotiables are going to be different. Some of your non negotiables are going to be the basis of starting a good habit. Some of those might include, like I just spoke about, never missing more than 2 consecutive days. Whether that's training, whether that's your non negotiables for the day, for the week, don't miss more than 2 consecutive. There is still time to course correct on the 3rd day, so we're never missing more than 2 consecutive training days. 1 is a mistake, but 2 we have to course correct immediately. Some non negotiables might be reading for 20 minutes at the end of your day, or in place of screen time. Instead of picking up your phone, pick up a book. A very important one, hydrating with at least 8, 16, push it to 32 ounces of water, 4 cups of water before your first coffee. There's a chemical in your body that dissipates after sleep that if you counteract immediately after getting up with caffeine, it completely screws that internal sleeping and waking rhythm. Here's the thing. So the power of non-negotiables really lie in their absoluteness. They remove the burden of any decision making when you're at your weakest, because when temptation rises, and it will, that pre commitment stands guard and keeps you accountable. These non negotiables create psychological safety, because when certain elements of your life are firmly established, you can then take calculated risks in other areas without fear of total destabilization. This is about creating an unshakable core that anchors your flexibility elsewhere. Wednesdays often bring what athletes call the second wind. That's that surge of energy that arrives after pushing through that initial fatigue. Most men never experience this because we surrender at the first sign of any resistance. Psychologically, though, your body adapts to sustained effort by mobilizing secondary energy systems. The same principle applies to your mental discipline because when you push through Wednesday's natural energy dip, you tap into deeper reserves of focus and determination. And this is where the breakthrough performances are born. Here's the secret though, you have to lean into the resistance instead of away from it. Because when motivation wanes, double your physical movement. Take a walking meeting, stand instead of sit, force oxygen into your system. Because energy creates energy, and the act of moving generates the fuel to keep moving. This counterintuitive truth separates those who finish strong from those who simply fade midweek. And by deliberately intensifying your efforts, precisely when your body and mind suggest slowing down, you train your system to access those hidden reserves on command. This is the foundation of clutch performance in every domain. Here's the thing, guys, discipline isn't the end goal. This is not a mood. This has to become your default operating system. And if it's not yet, that's okay, but we're going to keep swinging the hammer until it is. Because on this side of the line, we don't just talk about consistency, we live inside it, even whenever we don't feel like, and even whenever we're sick. Discipline isn't something you do, this is simply someone that you become. It's the quiet confidence that fills the room before you do. It's that unspoken authority that needs no announcement. It's the foundation upon which greatness inevitably rises. The world is full of men with potential. The world is starving for men with discipline. Which one will you be? If this hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to a brother who needs to hear it. You can find Men's Morning Motivation on Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9:30 a.m. EST. So make sure you hit follow, subscribe, just do what you gotta do. I appreciate your time. Wake up, lock in, move forward. This is Men's Morning Motivation.